Have you ever seen 13 Going on 30? That cute story where the girl wakes up as a successful, beautiful, and rich adult. Because, of course, 30 is the age of success, right? Now, imagine waking up at 31 years old, in sweltering 30-degree heat, unemployed, without a boyfriend, friendless, and turning into the cat lady whose feline companion is named Clover. And still claiming to be happy. Can you believe it? That's right. This is Gumi, a Japanese woman from Osaka, who became a viral sensation with over 2 million views by saying exactly this: that being alone can actually be a good thing. And the most curious part, many people related. But hold on. Behind her adorable video, Japan conceals a somber reality, a quiet loneliness epidemic plaguing one of the most populous and interconnected nations on Earth. And that's exactly what you're about to witness. 31 and alone. The sun just rose in Osaka, but Gumi, a 31-year-old Japanese, is already awake. It's her birthday, and her present for the day is loneliness, silence, and a heat of 30 degrees before 7 in the morning. She climbs the stairs leading to the Yodogawa River, that place where the city slowly catches its breath for a few minutes before returning to its machine-like function. The cicadas scream in the summer heat, but without any joy. And there, Gumi stops alone by the river. She looks at her reflection in the water and thinks, "This is where I lived the happiest days of my life." When she was an adolescent, she would come here with her friends right after their school club activities. They laughed at silly things, talked of love, sang loud, believed the future a great adventure. There were 9 of them, 9 inseparable friends. And today, none. Adulthood just happened, quiet, efficient, and completely lonely. And let's be real, you feel it too, don't you? That feeling that life just slips by, and then you realize the people who were once a part of your daily life are now just memories on Instagram. Gumi gazes at the same river, but with a different perspective. In those days, she longed to grow up quickly. Now she'd trade anything to return. We only realize we were happy after time has taken everyone away, right? While Japan awakens behind her with trains, noise, and people in a hurry, she's just there, standing still. No party, no cake, no one to sing happy birthday to her, but also no need to rush. And it's strange. In a country where everything is timed, maybe the greatest act of rebellion is to simply stop. She breathes deep, feels the warm wind on her face, and whispers, "Even alone, I have now." And that's when the crucial question arises. How did such an advanced, exemplary country become the world's loneliest place? A paradise that tires you out. Japan seems like a living advertisement, doesn't it? Everything's spotless, orderly. Trains arrive on time. No one speaks loudly or crosses outside the crosswalk. It is truly the dream of any Westerner living trapped in such chaos. But you know that old saying, don't you? Where everything seems perfect, something's wrong. Well, there you have it. Behind this flawless silence, there's a noise no one hears. The noise of pressure. From childhood, the Japanese learn that making a mistake is forbidden. At school, children don't primarily study to learn. They study so as not to disgrace their family. If a child fails a test, it's the whole family's fault, not just theirs. This pressure begins early. There are 12-year-old students taking extra classes at night to get into a better high school. At 15, they're already worried about university, and at 20, about what they'll do for the rest of their lives. It's a race with no finish line. Those who can't keep up disappear. In Japan, social failure isn't a phase, it's a public disgrace. And when the shame is collective, nobody talks about it, they simply hide away. This is the result. This is a generation that believes resting is laziness, and that happiness is something to be earned, not simply felt. It's like, you don't have to be the best, you just can't be the worst. And there you have it. That's the rule that drives the most disciplined country on the planet. But what few people realize is the price of this, because that same discipline that built modern Japan is truly breaking its youth from the inside. It is a paradise that functions flawlessly, yet at the expense of an army of weary souls. And it is precisely from this suffocating perfection that the darkest phenomenon of the new Japanese generation is born, the hikikomori. Hikikomori, the recluses of the 21st century. Imagine waking up one day and simply deciding not to leave your home anymore. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever again. Does that sound like an overstatement? In Japan, it's called hikikomori, modern world hermits. People who have given up on society and locked the door from the inside. The official definition is straightforward. Any individual who stays isolated for 6 months or longer without engaging in study, work, or direct social interaction. However, the reality is considerably more severe. In 2019, the Japanese government estimated over 1.15 million people lived this way. 1 million Japanese individuals who have essentially disappeared from public view. To provide some perspective, it's akin to the entire populations of Cyprus or Estonia having sealed themselves indoors and resolved never to re-emerge. And the worst part is, this number is from before the pandemic. After the year 2020, specialists estimate that this number has doubled. This means that right now in Japan, there's an invisible multitude of people living without truly experiencing life. Most of them are young people between 15 and 39, but the phenomenon is aging right along with the country. Nowadays, there are also elderly hikikomori men in their 50s and 60s who have spent their entire lives in this manner, without jobs, without companions, and supported by their parents. And the government has even given a name to this collective nightmare, the problem of 2030. Because when these parents die, who will take care of the adult children who never learned to live outside their rooms? Japan is literally aging with an entire generation of ghosts inside their homes. And the craziest thing is the stark contrast. In a country where everything is timed, where even the train arrives at the exact second, there are people who haven't left their rooms in 20 years. 20. Time stops for them, and the country pretends not to see. Some spend the day gaming, browsing forums, watching videos, trying to exist digitally. Others don't even do that. They dwell in such a profound silence that even a phone notification sound feels like an intrusion. The world out there is too dangerous. I'm not good enough. These are phrases repeated in the few testimonies that escape these walls. And the cruelest part? They didn't hide out of laziness. They hid because they live in a country that forbids failure. And when the world demands perfection, even breathing becomes a reason for shame. Japan is literally aging with a generation of ghosts inside their homes. So, do you have any friends who have isolated themselves? Who disappeared from the group because of the pressure? Because they feel like a failure? Or because they think life didn't turn out as they expected? And what about that friend who's already past 30 and has become the cat lady? Send this video to them. Perhaps they'll find themselves reflected in it. Because this story isn't just about Japan, it's about us too. An unforgiving society. If there's a place on earth where making a mistake is considered a sin, it's Japan. Here, there's no need for police. The fear of public shame does the work. From early childhood, Japanese individuals are taught a simple rule. Your identity is less important than the perceptions of others. A slip-up at school, a bad grade, a failure at work, and that's it. You don't just disappoint yourself. You bring shame to the entire family. Japanese culture is centered on a concept known as giri, the moral obligation to never inconvenience anyone. It sounds good in theory, doesn't it? But in reality, it's a cage. People live in fear of displeasing others, of speaking too loudly, laughing too much, or showing any emotion. Japan is a country where smiling is an absolute obligation, and venting your true feelings is considered bad manners. It's as if the life manual here dictates, no space for mistakes, no space for feelings, just for performance. And at work, this turns into a nearly sacred ritual. The individual who clocks out before their boss is not perceived as efficient, rather they're considered lazy. So what's their recourse? They feign productivity. They just stand there, only to avoid appearing disrespectful. And the most curious thing is, no one even told them they had to do it. It's like an unseen regulation, a social brainwashing. At school, the narrative is no different. The system is efficient and everyone praises it for good reason. But behind the discipline, there's a psychological battlefield. Tests, rankings, goals. And amidst this, ijime, Japanese bullying. In 2023, the government itself documented more than 680,000 reported incidents. And that figure is only escalating. Girls suffer because they don't fit the beauty standard. Boys often face ridicule because they're not good at sports or simply because they are different. And those who try to ask for help fall silent, because showing weakness here means breaking the code. And whoever breaks the code becomes an outcast. This is the society that created the hikikomori. A society where silence is a sign of politeness, but also of suffering. It's a country that mastered being exemplary but forgot how to be human. The cost of perfectionism. Japan is the country where even silence is productive. Everything works, is clean and beautiful. But all of this comes at a price. And the mental health of the population is the one that pays. Here, perfectionism isn't a virtue, it's a harsh sentence. From childhood, the Japanese are taught that life is a marathon of goals to achieve. Get into the right school, pass the right college, land the right job, and never, ever disappoint anyone. So, what exactly happens when a human being lives solely to meet impossible expectations? Simple, they break, but they do it in silence. In recent years, Japan has consistently registered the highest rate of young people giving up on life among developed nations. Giving up on existing, if you understand what I mean. In 2023 alone, over 500 children and adolescents experienced a premature end to their lives. This is the highest figure recorded since the government started monitoring such data. And for adults, over 20,000 individuals give up on existing annually. For a nation of 125 million people, it's a statistic that loudly screams, yet no one seems to be listening. And the cruelest aspect is that many of these situations originate in the very same place, school. Some 14-year-old students spend more time in cram school than sleeping. And there are teachers who break down trying to maintain the image of perfection that the system demands. Japan even created a word for this, karoshi, death by overwork. Yes, it's very real. The country invented an official term for dying from working too much. But perfectionism doesn't just kill you physically. It kills you on the inside. It extinguishes your spark. You see brilliant, gifted, and sensitive young individuals concealing themselves from the world so as not to let anyone down. And thus, this cycle persists. The country demands, the individual fails, guilt destroys them, and silence swallows all. It's as if Japanese society proclaims, you can be anything but human. And though the entire world lauds Japan for its discipline and efficiency, within, an exhausted generation emerges, lacking the will to compete, devoid of the desire to dream. A generation looks ahead and thinks, you know what? Perhaps it would be better if I chose not to participate. The 2030 problem. Japan is grappling with a quiet fear. It's something they refer to as the 2030 problem. And no, it has nothing to do with robots or AI or the economy. It's about people, about an entire generation that has simply vanished from public sight. Those young people who isolated themselves in their rooms back in the 2000s are now entering their older years. Many of these individuals are already 40, 50, or even 60 years old. And the majority of them still subsist on the same allowance they received from their aging parents, who are now passing away. The Japanese government estimates that, by the year 2030, the nation will face hundreds of thousands of orphaned hikikomori, entirely incapable of surviving independently. Without a job, without friends, without any social experience, they don't even know how to ask for help. Just imagine, people who've spent decades without talking to anyone, suddenly having to face a world that demands perfection, even when it comes to making mistakes. And worst of all, the Japanese social system doesn't know what to do with them. These individuals don't neatly fit into any established social category. They're not officially unemployed because they've never held a job. They are not diagnosed with mental illnesses. They are simply forgotten. Families, out of shame, conceal this issue. There are cases where parents die, and the children continue to live in the house for months, until the smell reveals the tragedy. The police even have a term for it, kodokushi, which means lonely death. And the strangest thing? This has become an industry. There are companies that specialize in cleaning apartments where someone has died alone. Think about the level of isolation a country must reach for this to become a profitable business. Therefore, when Japanese newspapers discuss the 2030 issue, they're not referring to statistics. They're addressing social collapse. They're talking about a nation that's growing older more rapidly than it can revitalize itself, and now faces the challenge of reintegrating individuals who never acquired the skills to function within society. How does one reintegrate individuals who have already given up on existing? That's the question Japan still hasn't managed to answer, and perhaps never will find a solution for. Yet, when silence becomes fatal, Japan still stands as one of the safest countries in the world. But safety here has a price: silence. And when silence lingers for too long, it takes a life. In Tokyo, there are companies that specialize in cleaning the apartments of people who died alone. This is known as kodokushi, a solitary death. They are individuals who pass away at home and are discovered days or even weeks later. When the smell seeps through the walls, a neighbor notices, calls the police, and the cycle begins again. These companies arrive as if it's just another day of service: masks, gloves, cleaning products, and a chilling detachment that only routine can explain. They clean stains from the floor, pack up furniture, gather personal belongings, and sometimes, in the middle of the mess, they find a note. Sorry for the trouble. Yes, even in death, the Japanese apologize for bothering someone. According to the government, over 35,000 individuals die alone in Japan annually, which averages out to nearly 4 deaths each hour. This means that as you're viewing this video, someone, unfortunately, is being found just now, far too late. And the height of irony? Japan stands as the most interconnected nation globally, yet emotionally, it remains a desolate wasteland. Individuals inhabit adjacent compact apartments, where the walls are sufficiently thin to catch a neighbor's cough, yet too dense for anyone to solicit assistance. Solitude has unfortunately turned into a common occurrence. You have a machine for everything: to buy a drink, to make conversation, to simulate company, but you have no one to truly listen to you. No one to look you in the eyes and ask, "Are you okay?" That simple question has vanished from the Japanese vocabulary. And this is where the cruelest irony of modern Japan lies. It's a country where no one robs you, no one attacks you, no one interrupts you, but also no one hugs you. The silence that was once a sign of respect has now become the very sound of emptiness. Gumi and her barley tea. After so many numbers, so much pressure, such profound loneliness, the camera returns to her. Gumi, 31 years old, alone at home, yet alive. She is seen purchasing a bottle of iced barley tea from an automated vending machine. 140 yen, less than $1. And in that moment, the whole of Japan seems to stop. The sound of the train in the background, the metallic clink of the can dropping, the warm wind on her face. It's the most beautiful loneliness you'll see today. While the entire country rushes to meet deadlines and maintain schedules, Gumi is doing what no one else does: simply breathing. She goes back home, grabs some cheap sushi from Sushiro, puts it all on a little plate with a cat design, and talks to the camera by herself. It might seem like a normal day, but there are little joys you only notice when you stop. That sentence is disarming. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't have friends. She doesn't have a job. But she has something almost no one else has: time. It's a moment to savor the taste of her tea, to giggle at her cat, Clover to re-watch Your Name for the 6th time, and to shed tears during the very same scenes. And it's interesting. In a country where everything is about efficiency, The real revolution is to enjoy the mundane. Gumi does what almost nobody else does. She pays attention to the taste of the sushi, the smell of the coffee, the look in her cat's eyes when he wants food. These simple things might mean nothing to most people, but for her, they are the last vestiges of her humanity. While a significant portion of Japan withdraws into darkened rooms, Gumi discovered light in a simple sip of iced tea. And perhaps the difference between loneliness and inner peace is simply that: the way we choose to perceive silence. You know what's craziest? Japan looks like the future, but if you look closely, it's just our present, a little bit ahead. Over there, people are already living what we're just practicing here. Everything's practical, everything's fast. No one holds anyone back, but no one looks each other in the eye either. Life has become a schedule. Work, pay bills, answer messages, and pretend everything's fine. And amidst all this, we're becoming like them, efficient, connected, and extremely alone. Japan is a mirror, reflecting what transpires when perfection takes precedence above all else. The most polite country in the world, and also the loneliest. And if we continue on this path, the next hikikomori could be me, or it could be you. Confined to a room considering a WhatsApp conversation and a handful of story reactions as a social life. But guess what? You have the power to break this now. Please do me a favor and pause the video. Seriously, open the chat with that friend you constantly send memes to, but never actually meet up with. And just type this: "Let's hang out for real, buddy." Because that's what it's all about. We don't have to save the whole world, but we certainly can save a friendship, share a hug, or have a real face-to-face conversation. And maybe that's what Japan is trying to tell us, that the future isn't about being perfect. It's about not turning into a robot that's afraid to feel. If you've made it this far, comment Japan. This way I'll know who among you truly survived watching this video. Oh, and remember to check out what's currently displayed on the screen. Thank you, and catch you all later.